All right, so we're back on this 2009 Hyundai Tucson, and we decided we're going to go ahead and look a little further before we condemn this engine. So I'm going to show you what we did. We took the oil cap off right here, of course, and then 2 bolts takes this cover off. And then the valve cover had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts total on that side. We also had to remove the spark plugs, and then the valve cover comes off, and this is where you last saw us. And then the next step was to remove this cover, which you can see had 4 10mm bolts, one in each top corner, and then 1 on each bottom corner. And then that cover just lifted right out of there. Next step was this power steering pump, which sits down here. You had an adjustment bolt right here at the top. We loosened that, and then at the bottom down there, coming from the front side, was a long bolt that went through the pump, and we took that bolt out, and then you can lift the pump up out of the way. There was also these brackets right here, 10mm bolt there, and there's one more down here that was on the front of the pump. We loosened those brackets to get those out of the way. Now the next step is we're gonna get all the belts off. So we went down below, and well, on the power steering belt, obviously we had off. If you can look down here on the top of the alternator, there's an adjusting bolt, and then there's one on the very bottom on the inside. You can loosen, and then you'll be able to use the adjuster, which is right down there, to get the belt off. Let me take you down below and show you the bottom cover that we took off. All right, so this area here was covered with a shield, and there were 4 10mm screws that went up from the bottom and 1 on the side. And that removed this plastic cover and gave us access to the bottom. Now that pulley right there, the small one, you loosen the nut in the center, and then again, if you can look from this angle, there's an adjustment screw right there. And then that air conditioning belt came off. And so once all the belts are off, that gives us access to the crankshaft. Now we're going to try to line the timing marks up, which you can't see yet because I haven't lowered the engine. The next step I'm going to do is put a jack underneath the motor, and I'm going to take the mount off up top and lower the engine down so I can line up all the timing marks. And then we will remove this pulley with the impact gun, and then there's 4 bolts that hold the plastic cover behind the pulley on. You can't see it very well, but once all that's out of the way, then we'll remove that cover. I apologize for getting a head start on you here, but that stuff that we've already got off was real quick and easy to come off, and we were using this to show you what an unmaintenanced engine looks like. I also want to show you these belts that came off. So these belts have chunks and pieces missing out of them. One of the complaints was, this is the air conditioner belt, and so one of the complaints was the air conditioner would just shut off, and it would squeal. And you can see there's probably 50% of the belt is missing. I'm surprised it was even still on there, but it was just slipping, and air conditioner wasn't performing well. When it did perform, it was ice cold. The rest of the belts are all cracked and ready to come apart. When you flip the belt back, you can see all the cracks in the belt. That belt is over. It looks like also this tensioner right here for the air conditioning belt has, I don't know if you can hear that clicking, but that's a bad bearing. So we're going to put a new tensioner or a tensioner bearing on that section also. All right, let's go back to the top. Okay, so the next step is this mount right here. So this is what's holding the motor up on the front, and we're gonna put an engine or a jack underneath the engine because we don't want it to fall down too far. And then we're gonna remove this bolt, these 3 bolts, and I don't know if you can see it, there's 1 bolt on a bracket right there. And we're gonna remove all those 5 bolts, and then the engine will lower down. Hopefully we can get access to the water pump pulley, which is right here. Now in hindsight, you can see the 4 bolts on the front of the water pump pulley. It is much easier to break those bolts loose when the belts are all still on the vehicle. And I'm looking at the position of the water pump. If we decide to save this engine, we're going to put a new water pump on it as well. So that'll be included in the next couple steps of this video. So we'll come back as soon as we have that bracket off, and I'll show you the next step.